Hello, everybody.
Hello.
My name's Kevin,
I'm Dylan.
and this is Sense of Direction. Today, we're going to be talking about the myths of buying a home. I was lucky enough to speak with Cynthia Lazo's PR agent. She gave me the go-ahead to allow her to come to the studio today. Paid a big, hefty fine, but I think it's worth it. So we'll be asking her some questions and hopefully giving you guys some answers. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi, I'm good. Thank you guys so much for having me with you today.
You're welcome. Okay, first question. Do you work with a lot of first-time buyers?
I do. I work with first-time home buyers and then even beyond that.
What are some I remember you being a first-time buyer. How does it feel being in that position and then being the person that they go to?
It's really great because now I get to look back at my experiences and say, wow, I really could have used someone who had directed me a little bit better and maybe kind of explain the process instead of me just jumping in and then they just tell me random tidbits here and there and just kind of a lot of puddles that I ended up stepping into that could have been avoided through all of the home buying processes that we went through.
I do remember that period in you and Marvin's life. I think I went to a couple of those house views with you guys. Yeah.
I think we were babysitting you.
Probably, yeah, that might have been the case. But it's nice because the home you ended up buying, I remember growing up in there and taking care of the girls. It's a big step. It's a very special place. So you're saying you feel like if you had a better realtor, they would have kind of made the whole process easier, or somebody who maybe cared a little bit more?
Yeah. I mean, I know that our first realtor, we sure put her through the ringer. I think we sent her 97 houses. It was a lot, but also I was very pregnant.
That's true.
And so I was just trying to find anything, but your brother, he's picky, but in the best way, because he wanted to make sure wherever we went to that it served all of our needs and it would be a good home for our kids. So it was quite the process, but I do think that looking back on it, there are things that we could have been protected from that I try to use now to protect people from. So it's really nice that I've been able to use all of that as a learning experience, not just something that happened that I look back and regret, but something that I get to use to fuel me to be even better.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the main focus of this podcast is to kind of learn from others' experience or learn from research that we feel like is not being talked about enough for people. Yeah. So that being said, do you have any really big misconceptions for the home buying process that maybe even you dealt with or that you just kind of see reoccur that people have?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that I think is people don't necessarily understand what they can really afford. And I think that that's a really big thing because I've had it both ways. Some people come in thinking they can afford a $350,000, $400,000 house, but in reality, they can only afford about a $200,000 house. Yeah. And then I've seen it in the opposite where people are thinking, I can't really afford anything nice. But then when they sit down and really go through the numbers, they realize, oh, so you mean I can actually get something even better than what I originally thought I could afford. Yeah. So it's been pretty interesting to see both sides of that.
Yeah. I feel like whenever you see big numbers, it just scares you.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's even beyond home buying. You get a bill in the mail and you're like, when did that happen? So,
Bills are scary.
Yeah.
So would you say, right now it feels like every time I get online, there's a new statistic on how unaffordable everything is. Not just homes, but groceries, gas. I'm trying to think of something else. I already said groceries. We'll just stick
cost
with
of living.
Cost of living, yes, basically. So do you believe it's attainable for Gen Z to buy a house in this economy?
I think it is. I think one of the biggest things that we see with Gen Z is that, I'm a millennial. And I know. I remember it wasn't until iPhone 5 came out that I got the first iPhone.
Yeah.
I was very behind the curve because I was like,
Cynthia's
this is happening so
also,
much.
very obsessed with Twilight, so just throw that out there.
You watched it with me.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Now my daughters are obsessed with Twilight, so it's
Yeah.
okay. It's just running in the family.
Guys, I'm Team Edward, okay? I'm with you guys.
Oh, see, they're
Okay.
Team Jacob.
Oh,
And-
I can see. Well, she's disgusted in me now. All right.
But no, I think one of the biggest things is that it is absolutely attainable for Gen Z to own a home. However, what I think the biggest thing is that I'm seeing is you guys were brought up where social media was already a thing. Maybe definitely not to the extent of where we are right now, but it was the beginnings of it. And so social media loves to feed on people's fear. It loves to feed on people's desires. And so it's going to try to sway people in the direction of where corporations want people to go and things like that. And so what you have is a lot of people who are terrified to buy. And then you have people who are buying out of fear that, it's going to get even worse. And so I think that it's playing on people's emotions. And I think that's what's stopping a lot of Gen Zers today is they're scared. And understandably so, because social media is shoving down your throat. You'll never be able to afford this.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane. Just go rent. You can't do it. And so that's really hard to get past that mind block and really be able to see the opportunities that are truly in front of you.
Yeah, I feel like the fear thing is like a very good like thing I didn't really consider of that. And like you're right, like most of those videos are like some sort of like scared mindset of like this will never happen for me, or it's like the complete opposite, like I'm 21 and I just made my $50 million or something. Like this is the only way that you will be able to buy a house, become a millionaire first. So but like that's not normal for the average person to like do that.
And I like that you said that, how people are on there saying, oh, well, you got to be a millionaire first. And you're seeing all these YouTubers and TikTokers that are becoming instant famous overnight. And so then everybody's trying to do that. Yeah. And you see them buying these big mansions. But it's so funny because
And they end up being broke
they end up being
years.
absolutely broke. Everything's going into foreclosure because people are trying to buy that rich and famous lifestyle. But it's not about that. It's about taking the steps to get to something that's beautiful and attainable, which is what me and your brother did. Yeah. We started in a tiny home, 3-bed, 1-bath, 800 square feet. It was absolutely cramped, but we worked our way up, building that equity and getting into nicer homes along the way to where now we're sitting pretty beautiful.
Yeah. I can attest to that.
So what should someone, like if they are thinking about that they're going to be buying a house in their future, like what's kind of like a couple years before they sit down with a realtor, like what should they be thinking about or what should they do?
Yeah, and I love that you say that because it's actually what my husband and I personally did. And it helped so much. So it's not just a theoretical thing that I can encourage people to do. It's a realistic accomplishment that we worked through. It's hard, it's not easy, and it takes time. And that's why I love that you said for years before you do. And so one of the biggest things is we had student loan debt. We had 2 cars at the time, and we were making payments on both of them, plus our first house. And so the biggest thing is we started doing that Dave Ramsey snowball, where you take your smallest debt, pay it off, and then instead of being like, oh, great, I have an extra $250 a month, I'm going to go buy a new wardrobe. Instead, you take it and you add it to the price of the next one. You snowball effect, pay off as much debt as you can, and then work on that credit score. Yeah. Because as much as nobody likes to think about the credit score, it does actually matter. It tells banks how well you can handle debt. So just getting that credit score, getting your debt cleared, because in doing that, you're going to get approved for something more. And that's going to allow you to buy a home that's going to let you put in more equity and build some wealth along the way.
Yeah. That's crazy. We've talked about that. Like we've done I think we've done an episode on close to everything you talked about. That's nice.
Yeah.
See?
Credit scores and like debt management.
Yeah.
Things like that. But yeah, that is, I would say that's kind of the most important thing that you should take care of because it never goes away. In fact, it gets worse. It grows the longer that you leave it on the side.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
So,
so
yeah.
we've eliminated the debt.
We're building the credit score.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How much money do you actually need? I mean, I guess it's based on
Like your
your
personal
client or whatever,
income,
but
yeah.
like
So let's say
a
this.
gauge.
Let's say this. Closing costs average at about 4% of the price of the house.
Okay.
So that gives you a good thing. However, one thing that I can also tell you is depending on the market, I've been able to get closing costs covered for my last 6 clients, including myself and Marvin. When we bought our house back in March, I had all of our closing costs covered by the seller, and I had some left over to buy our interest rate down. So instead of getting an interest rate at the time for us, it was going to be 5.5. We closed at a 4.8. And so that's a really big deal. That saves you a couple $100 up the top, but that also saves you thousands in interest later on.
Yeah.
And so 4% is good for your closing costs just to have as like your safe keep in case you get a seller that says, absolutely not, I'm not giving you any money for closing.
Yeah.
That can happen. But theoretically, having that 4% is good. And then also down payment assistance and things like that, those are very much available. And I cannot tell you how many first-time home buyers have come to me saying, what is that? I've never heard of it. They don't even realize your down payment can be covered for you.
I didn't know that.
As like an assisted program, or is it like included in like a loan or something?
I think I've heard of an assisted program.
So it is down payment assistance, and it is based on credit score and things like that. And then
Yeah.
also how much grant money is available in your county. So different counties have different amounts. So, and it really depends too on type of loan, things like that. So there's a lot that goes into it. But the nice thing is if you can get it, then it goes into what's called a silent loan. They don't always tell you this, but you don't pay it back for the time that you're living in the house or the time of the loan, things like that. Okay. So generally it is about 3%, 3.5% of the house for your down payment, because a lot of loans, that's about the minimum. And so in doing that, they provide that grant money to you, and it goes at a silent loan. So what that means is there's 0 interest on it. So it's not a loan that's ever going to gain any interest. So whatever that amount is, that's just what it's going to be. And so let's say it's $5,000. Well, in 20 years, you decide you want to sell your house. You have so much equity built up. Yes, when you sell it, do you pay that silent loan back? You do, but it's not with a bunch of interest on it. It's just whatever that was. So you already have it in your mind that if you end up paying this back, if you decide to move, you can already kind of budget that in at the end and kind of know. And it's not a huge chunk of change, which is kind of scary for people, especially when you're coming into it and you need that down payment assistance because you don't have $5,000 laying around for your down payment. Knowing that grant money takes care of it for you on the front end is extremely helpful and makes it even more affordable.
Yeah. Probably alleviate some stress as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So speaking of down payments, sorry, I just
You're good.
speaking of down payments, is 20% down payment required, like really required, or?
No, so it's really up to the buyer, because if you have 20% laying around, so if I will say your brother and I, we did not have $60,000 sitting around for us to put down on our house.
Right.
So if you do 20%, though, your mortgage insurance, it comes off your private mortgage. So it does take a little bit. It's not a huge chunk of change. People think that you're getting a huge amount taken on your monthly by getting that PMI taken off by paying 20%. But it's not a humongous change in your monthly. So if you can't do it, it's not going to break your bank to just put down what you can. Meet the bare minimum or get the down payment assistance and not worry about it. It's a little bit more on your monthly until you pay off 20% of your house, and then it naturally falls off as well. Can that take years? Yes, absolutely. But if you can't afford paying $60,000 up front on a $300,000 house, it's beneficial to just do what you can do and just make your payments. It's not going to kill you.
And real quick, PMI, I kind of saw that when I was researching some stuff. What can you remind me what that
So that's more for like making sure that you get 20% of that paid off. So it's more of like a safety for lenders when they're giving you that money is you're getting a lot of that paid off, a lot of that interest paid off. Because when you first start paying off a house, I will say, so I'll give you an example. If you're paying, and this is just a random number, but if you're paying $1,200 for your house payment, well, your first payment, like 100 of that actually goes towards your house because the banks are getting their interest up front. And so as you pay off the house payment stays the same, but the amount of interest that you're paying goes down and the amount of principal it goes towards goes up. So the further into a loan you go, the more that's going to be towards your principal versus the interest, right? So once you pay off that first 20%, then the banks are satisfied and then they'll drop off that PMI. And that's more of like an insurance for them that, okay, we got what we needed kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You spoke earlier about credit score. What's a good credit score to aim at?
So a good credit score minimum to aim at, I would say would be for the home buying process. Yes, I would say at bare minimum, mid 650.
Okay.
Which isn't horrible.
No.
I know that I have had multiple home buyers who've come in saying, I don't know if my credit score is good enough. And then they go through a lender and their credit score is in the 500s. Well, one of the good things, if you have a good lender, then they will say, okay, so this is where you're at. These are the small things you need to do to get, how you guys had said earlier, what's something you can do to get yourself ready for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, they'll give you a plan and say, this is what you've got going on. This is your credit card debt. This is what's happening. Pay these bare minimums. And in 1 year, 2 years, you'll be ready to go. Now, there are some people who have some really bad credit history and really bad debt where it's maybe not 1 or 2 years, maybe it's 5 years. But either way, whether you end up buying your house or not, that's still a very healthy move to make, to know what you need to do to at least get yourself in a more financially secure position for your future, for your family, and for yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
So would you say it would be useful to kind of like set up a conversation with a lender before a realtor first, or do you think vice versa, or
Yeah.
where should you start?
No, that's a really good question because I get a lot of people who come to me and then the first thing I say is, great, before I show you a house, let's talk to a lender because I will tell you about my very first client I ever had. He came to me and I'm a brand new agent. And I think because I'm also a nurse, I have certain things that are nurse brain that you don't think of, right? Like, so HIPAA violations, right? We don't give out private information.
Yeah.
So here comes this buyer and he says, hey, so I was told I got pre-approved for about $350. And I said, oh, that's great. Well, in my mind, I'm thinking, your private information, I can't just ask you to share that with me and tell you to send me this. And then didn't realize, oh no, I should definitely tell you, send me your pre-approval letter or your proof of funds.
Yeah.
But it was kind of hard to switch my brain over when I first started. So I didn't ask for that.
Oh no.
So 3 months and over 200 miles of me driving later, he slipped up that he actually wasn't pre-approved at all. And so I said, oh, okay, well, let's work on getting that done. Turned out he was only pre-approved for $170,000. And I'm like, I'm showing you all these houses. Then he wanted a $170,000 house, but he wanted it to look like these $350,000 properties I was showing him. And I said, oh, sweetie, bless your little heart. That does not work. And so definitely talk to a lender first. But I do think that talking to an agent is also important because if you are talking to someone that you trust, then you know they're going to send you to a lender that's equally trustworthy because not all lenders are the same. I have found that out very hard is that there are a lot of lenders who they drop the ball. They're maybe not servicing their customers as well as others potentially can. And I've even had lenders who don't even mention down payment assistance to clients. And then my clients are saying, well, what is that? And I said, talk to your lender. And then they do. And they're like, my lender acted like they couldn't believe I even mentioned it. So, it's kind of a either or. If you have a lender that you already know you can trust them, then great, talk to them. But if you don't have one in your pocket yet that you already know you want to go with, then find an agent and don't go with the first agent you meet. Interview them. Figure out, do your values and their values match? Are they really going to serve you or are they trying to serve themselves? And then whenever you get to know that agent, then that agent can direct you to people that are equally as trustworthy and share the same values.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That is really good.
Walk us through the home buying process from start to finish.
Okay. So let's say you came to me and said you wanted to buy a house, right?
Yeah.
First thing I'm going to ask you is, are you pre-approved? Have you talked to a lender, right?
Yes.
But then it kind of depends on, okay, are you pre-approved or are you going to be a cash buyer? Because that's a big difference. If you're a cash buyer, then that takes care of a lot of the lending side. Obviously, you've got the proof of funds. That's what you got to send. But if you're not, let's say you're not a cash buyer and you need to get a loan. So I would direct you to some lenders. I have some that I've personally used on all my home purchases. They're phenomenal. But I would also direct you to a couple more because I don't want to do anything called steering, which is not allowed. So once you interview the lenders and you decide, I think one of the big scary things where people don't want to go to a lender is because they're scared, oh, my credit score is going to get ran and then it's going to hit my credit. But what you don't realize is that lenders do what's called a soft pull. So they don't do the hard pull until you're really in the game getting that house.
Yeah.
But a soft pull doesn't affect your credit score, but it gives them a good idea of where you're standing. And so it won't hit that credit score. So even if you didn't want to buy a house for 10 years, you can still do it today just to see where you're at, just to see what they would recommend. And so you go with the lender, they say, okay, they take your pay stubs, get your history, things like that. And then they will look at everything and say, okay, you can afford $300,000. I just like that number. So $300,000. And so then you come to me and say, Cynthia, I'm going to email you my pre-approval letter. I want this house. And I'm going to say, okay, so you're telling me that you want a house that's 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom. What's your bare minimum square footage? What matters the most to you? Because this is where getting to know somebody is very important. Because are you someone who you really just kind of like to be home by yourself, like you want it to be kind of your place of zen, your place to relax? Or is it a place where, hey, like my house, family's always over at my house. That was one of the reasons we chose the house that we're in now. I needed space for entertainment. I don't care how big the rooms are. I just need big living rooms. I need a big kitchen. I need a place where people can move around.
She throws Project X type parties every
Oh,
weekend.
nice.
I don't know what that is, but yeah.
Don't say yeah to that.
No, don't say yeah. I mean, no, definitely
People
not.
jumping off the roofs, fireworks. It's crazy.
I'm joking.
But so, that's where I would start getting to know what are your goals? What do you like to do on a Friday night? Are you more worried about going out? You just want to come home to a place where you can chill and go to sleep? Do you need something big? Do you have a family? Are you moving grandparents in with you? So that's where we start to really break down exactly what it is you want. And then I go look for it. And at the same time, you go look for it. And one of the things that I do want to mention is that there was a law that was passed in August of 2024. And that law kind of protected agents as well as buyers. So what you would have is somebody would say, hey, you have a house in Shawnee. Can you go open the door for me? Agent would run over there, even if it was an hour out of their way, 2 hours out of the way, open the door, you go look at it. You'd move on, go to the next house. You might see 5 different houses calling all these different agents. But one of the things is agents just kind of kept opening doors. People maybe weren't really interested in buying, things like that. So this law was passed that there's actually a form called the buyer-broker agreement. And that has to be signed now before an agent can open a door for you. Are there agents that maybe aren't using that form even though they're supposed to? Probably. Do I? No, I follow the law. So, but this form does have to be signed. And so this form is basically saying you're agreeing to work with that agent. Now, there are times where I've had somebody where I'm like, you don't even know me. You've never met me. So I'll sign it just to be good for 24 hours. That way I'm covered legally. I'm allowed to actually go show you this house. You're not going to pay me anything, but this is an opportunity for you to meet me, but we're also doing it legitimately. And so it expires in 24 hours. Do I do that for you every time you want to see a house? No, but I will do it the first time. So you'll sign that form. We'll go see your houses. You find the house you want. And then we make an offer. So in that offer, one thing that also changed was it used to be where on the MLS, an agent could go in there and it would say, hey, this house is offering X percent. This much goes to the buyer, this much goes to the seller. Well, they've done away with that. You can't do that anymore. because sellers were saying, why am I automatically tied into paying an agent that I'm not even using, right? Why am I paying this buyer's agent? And then now what it is you write that in the offer. So it's a whole different form. It's called a co-op agreement. And so you would put that on there and you would say, hey, my buyer's agent's fee, will you please pay for those? So that's when negotiation comes into play.
I see.
And so I will tell you, I've never had a single issue with this happening because a lot of sellers know if we don't offer something, then we're going to lose a big pool of buyers.
Yeah.
Because sellers are getting the money at the end of the day. The buyers are paying the money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so if sellers can do something to help buyers make housing more affordable, then it's always a good thing to do. So that's kind of where you're at with that. Offer gets accepted or you're in negotiations, and then starts your inspection period. So you call your inspectors, they go in there, they look at the house, you take a look and say, okay, what do I need to have fixed in order for me to feel safe in this home? Okay. In addition to that, there's also an appraisal. So right now I think appraisals are $650 to $750. Buyers pay that out of pocket before closing. There's no way around that unless the seller randomly says they'll pay it. But buyers generally pay it. That's for the lender. And that is the lender sending a guy out or a lady, and they're looking at the house and they're saying, is this house worth what we're going to let you borrow? Because if it's not, then we're not letting you borrow this much. We'll let you borrow what it's worth, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes these appraisals also have what are called appraisal required repairs. So, for example, I had one that was in Del City, and they said, hey, this deck has wood rot. So we will appraise it for this much, but you have to fix the wood rot on the deck. So that's even beyond what you decided you wanted in your inspections. That's the appraisal saying, if this doesn't get fixed, we're not letting you have this loan.
Yeah.
And that's on the buyer to fix the deck?
Or it depends. Generally, sellers will fix that. But in this instance, our buyer said, we'll take the house as is, and if there's any appraisal requirements, we'll go ahead and fix them. I had a very nice buyer. I don't know. They were just like, we'll take care of everything. He was very handy. Nice. So they took care of everything. But that doesn't always happen. Generally, sellers end up, it can be negotiated, but generally sellers take care of that. And so whenever you do your inspections, you tell them what you want done. This is before the appraiser. And then the seller will negotiate with you what they're willing to fix. So, for example, Marvin and I got our house. Well, the opening for the garage was a little rusted. So we asked for them to fix it. He came back with no. We said, okay, then give us a $400 credit. And he did. And so there is a negotiation there when it comes to that. So then all that's good. While all of that is happening for you, on the lender side, they're sending things for... the title company is doing like survey inspections, making sure there's no encumbrances of, let's say, in the house that we just moved out of, my driveway went 1 foot into my neighbor's yard. So they had to make sure that they told us that when we moved in. Hey, your driveway is actually on somebody else's property. It's not causing any issues. You don't need to change anything, but just be aware that that's that. Yeah. And then your lender is sending everything through the underwriting process, making sure there's nothing hidden in your finances that would stop you from being able to afford the loan, things like that, making sure there's no hiccups in your credit score, stuff like that. And so as all of that's going on, you're dealing with making sure your realtor is dealing with making sure that all of the fixes get fixed up, things like that. Then you do what's called the final walkthrough. Excuse me. And the final walkthrough is where you go through and make sure no crazy act of God happened. Yeah. And it is very important to do that. There was an instance where a realtor told me that they knew of someone who did not do that. And the people closed on the house, went to the house, and found the entire house flooded. Completely flooded. Horribly flooded. And so
it was you can't do anything.
Yeah, because you signed it, and when you sign, you say you're taking the house in its current as-is condition. It was a really big deal. A lot of people got in trouble, including the real estate agent, and so a lot of things happened. I don't really know what the end result was of that, but it wasn't good. So making sure that you do a final walkthrough is very important, and then you go to the closing table. Everybody gets signed. You bring a cashier's check, or you do through electronic pay, which I usually highly recommend people do a cashier's check just because there's always fees with the other side. And so just to help people save a little bit more money, because it can be quite a bit, then they sign, you get your keys, and then you move into your house.
Wow.
The whole process takes average 30 to 45 days.
Okay.
Crazy.
Yeah. If you're a cash buyer, you can usually knock that down to about 15 to 20 days if you're lucky. Still, sometimes it can take up to the 30.
Have you met a cash buyer?
Yeah, I'm working with one right now. Really? I've actually had more than one.
Does that mean
That's
that they
crazy.
pay like the full price of the house? Like they got it.
Yeah.
They have $200,000. Okay.
Yeah. Right now, my cash buyer is someone who's retired and has had money saved up, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to get myself a nice house. And so that's kind of where they're at. It's not always somebody who's in older age and retired, but a lot of times it is.
When they're not coming in there with suitcases full of cash.
Right. They're still getting that cashier's check from the bank. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. So, well, I guess you kind of said it, like you personally started out with like a kind of a smaller first home and then kind of grew into like your, like, let's say dream or family homes after that. So would you recommend kind of starting out with maybe a starter home, or do you think people should wait and save for the big daddy that they want?
Yeah. So I really like that question, because I think that one of the things we find is there's so many people that say, I'm just going to save up for this house, and in the meantime, I'll rent, right? But here's what I tell people. When you walk away from that rental house, you walk away with nothing. You just paid off somebody's house. Don't get me wrong. I have rental properties. I love it. But being on the other side of that, I do tell people, if you can afford to buy your own home, do it. Don't pay off somebody else's house, pay off yours. Yeah. And yes, that sometimes means that you got to bite the bullet and get into a small home. Just maintain it, build up that equity. If you have extra money, let's say you get a home that you can easily afford and have more than enough left over to actually get a bigger house if you wanted to, well, pay down that principal. Pay it off a little bit quicker, so when you walk out, you have more equity. And then, you know, while you're working on getting your career started or whatever it is you're trying to do financially, getting yourself out of more debt, whatever it may be, you're building that beautiful nest egg of a safety. And so then when you move out of that house, you sell that house, you have a huge chunk of change that you can use to either invest in your retirement or towards the house itself, get brand new furniture. It felt amazing. Whenever our first house, we went into it and we just kind of got hand-me-down furniture. Nothing wrong with that. It was whatever people would gift us, and it was great. It was perfect. It was amazing. But it felt phenomenal going into a furniture store and saying, I'll have one of those, two of those, one of those. How about that over there? You know, it feels really great when you can do that. And so that's what I would recommend. If you can, start in a small home. There's nothing wrong with that. And if people judge you for it, then they're probably not the best friends for you to have in the first place.
Amen. Do you believe, is there ever such thing as a good time to buy?
You know,
it feels like it just feels like a term that people just,
it's
like a selling, I feel like it's like a selling point, because I also hear the opposite. It's just like, this is the worst time to buy, don't do it.
I think that goes back to people forcing people to do things out of emotion.
Yeah.
And that is always the worst thing you could do.
Yeah.
I remember I heard this quote that said, waiting to buy a home on the perfect time is like living in Oklahoma and saying, I'm going to buy a convertible only when the weather is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
That does not exist. And so the thing is it's never really a bad time to buy a house in Oklahoma, because our state is so underrealized still. We are still growing.
Yeah.
In 10 years, so many places are going to be unrecognizable. The housing market's going to continue to flourish. It's going to continue to go up. It's going to continue to expand. I will say housing prices are starting to kind of level out a little bit better than what they were, which is nice. But I don't think that there's really a bad time to invest in real estate, especially in a state like Oklahoma, because it's going to continue to grow and keep growing. I mean, right now, Norman's about to do a huge revamp of their city, and they're investing over $1 billion into it. Yeah. You know, you've got Buc-ee's.
Oh, yeah.
that's going to
heading
be
out
coming to
Reno.
Oklahoma. We have Okana that was just built. There's
Yeah.
things that are boosting our economy here. And so I really don't think that it's a bad time at all to be
Yeah.
buying and investing in yourself by investing into your home.
That's a good
That's
point.
smart.
That's a good point. I'm gonna let you pick one.
Okay. I feel like the last couple of questions are kind of more like fun, like just kind of like seeing if you have any crazy
I
stories.
like it.
But have you ever had to like talk someone out of buying a house?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Actually, recently.
Oh,
okay. Some of my very close friends whom I love so very much. There was a house that came on the market. It was definitely under market value by at least 50 grand. And I was like, this
flag?
is a great house.
Never mind.
They were trying to sell it fast. Someone had
okay.
passed away. The family didn't live in state, and they told the realtor, hey, just get rid of the house. Like, we just need to get rid of this house. The house was already paid off, so it still would have been $250,000 of cash in their pocket. So why not, right?
Yeah.
So I take my friends to get it. Perfect size for their family. Complete trash hole. There was actually in the master room, there was this atrium, like an outside room inside the master room. This house was very old, but beautiful. And so I open up this sliding door and I go to step in and I realized, oh, there's no floor here. Someone laid some type of like stretch out kind of tile that covered the whole thing. But when I started to step, there was nothing holding that. I would have gone straight through. I don't know how far down, but it was absolutely terrifying. There was a lot of really bad things. And they were like, well, but look at the potential. And I said, who's investing in that potential? Because they don't want to fix anything. The roof was trash. There was wood infested, like termites, and there were so many wrong things. And I said, this is not a good idea. And thankfully, they realized, like, you know what, God is not telling us to do this. And so they walked away from it, and they ended up finding a much more beautiful home that was actually less money than that, and it really blessed their family, and they're flourishing in it, and they're very, very happy. And yeah,
That sounds like a house. I'm sure you've seen the signs where it's just like a blank sign. It's somebody who used a Sharpie, and it's like, we buy ugly houses, and it's just a number.
Yes,
It's just like, I wonder what they're up to. You know, that sounds like their perfect type right there.
Well, you know, there's this movie, I cannot remember the name of it, but Tom Hanks is in it. He stars in it, and him and his wife buy this huge house. And everything that he's like, we're going to fix this house up. We're going to make it so amazing. Well, then at some point, things are falling through the ceiling.
Yeah.
The beautiful grand staircase just completely crumbles, and the whole house is just falling apart. And by the end of it, he's just losing his mind, but he's laughing so hard because he's like, of course.
Yeah.
And it was a really funny movie, and I can't think of the name of it, but it's perfect for
I'm
that.
gonna try to find it.
It's hilarious. Money Pit. Yeah, such a funny movie, but it really explains how absolutely wrong it can go getting the house that you really shouldn't be buying in the first place.
Yeah.
Is that kind of a lesson of like how important inspections are as well? Like,
Oh,
'cause
absolutely.
People don't realize, like,
Oh,
no one knows what's going
absolutely.
on inside the attic or
Right.
like,
It's
under
one
the
thing to look at
floor.
it. Yeah. And all of the things that we saw that were very wrong were during our inspection. And so I didn't step into that room until we were inspection. I was like, well, let me go in here and just kind of see. And I was like, oh. And so, yeah, the inspector said, well, that toilet doesn't work. The roof is really bad. I definitely found termites, and there's this and that. And so it was just one thing after another, to the point where he said, you can stop the inspection. We're good here.
Yeah, that's enough.
Like, we're good. I don't need to hear any more bad news. And so that can be really hard because inspections can be pretty pricey.
Yeah.
And so you definitely don't want to just keep throwing money at it. So that's why it's good to always do your own little mini inspection when you're in a house. Like, don't get sidetracked by the beauty of a home.
Yeah.
Really look at it. Really walk around. Do the floors feel uneven?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of our houses, Oklahoma has clay. So a lot of settling happens. We have earthquakes, you know, and things get shifted, things get settled. The house that we moved into in March, he just did a foundation correction on that. And I had never seen so many piers placed on a house. The entire house had piers placed on it. I didn't mind. It was beautiful, but I was like, thank you for fixing my foundation. But there was some serious foundational repairs. It was $30,000 for him to get it fixed. So walk around, see what you can tell that's not right. Ask questions. Always ask questions. Even if you're thinking, maybe I'm asking the wrong question and there's actually nothing wrong here. Yeah. Ask it anyways. That's what the real estate agent's there for, to help you and answer those questions and help you see things in a different light.
Beautiful. What's the craziest thing you've seen in a house?
So Marvin and I have a little joke running with each other because every time I do an inspection, even on the house we just bought, there's always a gas leak. Always. Oh and it's crazy. Alvaro found the gas leak and he said, I'll fix that real quick. Alvaro is their uncle. Yeah. Usually at the furnace, things like that. But I will say one of the craziest things was actually a gas leak story where inspector went in and said, yeah, there's definitely a gas leak in this house, right? So the selling agent calls somebody out there. They said, hey, they fixed it. We're good to go. And I said, that's amazing. They send us all these beautiful receipts and photos to show us that everything we asked to be fixed was fixed. So something told me, go do a walkthrough, just me, a week before we close. Usually you do a walkthrough about 48 hours before, but I was like, something just told me I needed to go walk in that house. I got sick. Absolutely sick. It was so bad. Damn. Called them. I said, hey, I am smelling gas. I'm feeling nauseous, lightheaded. If I would have stayed in that house, I probably would have passed out. They called them back out there. They said, oh, this time we really fixed it. I said, okay. Then we go and we do our walkthrough. No gas smell. Absolutely perfect. We were so excited. They close on the house. They move into the house. Cynthia, there's a gas smell. And so I was like, what in the world? Turned out they had turned off the gas before we did our final walkthrough. So we wouldn't have smelt it anyway. So then they ended up spending their first couple of days fixing the actual gas leak.
So the buyer, the seller did that?
The seller shut off the gas. I think that city got involved, kind of shut the gas off. Nobody turned it back on. Maybe the sellers didn't know that the city turned off the gas. I don't know. But it was a very big situation. Everything got handled. But yeah, it can be pretty crazy, the things that can happen. And
Wow.
Hopefully they're safe
scary,
now.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's scary. Say something
they're
like
great. No, that was probably the worst thing that's ever happened. But that's not common. That's not common. I will say when we moved into our house, we bought a house in 2022 when we moved from that smaller house into a bigger home. And the inspector we used then was recommended by somebody, not somebody an inspector I use now or ever have used since then. And they did not see that there was actually a little gas leak in our house that we moved into. And at the time, my husband had a lawn care business.
Oh, yeah.
So our garage always smelled like gas. Yeah. So we just kind of assumed that was what it was. And then it wasn't until we were going to switch out our water heater that their uncle Alvaro goes, hey, did you know there's a gas leak here? We said, nope, did not know that. So he fixed that too. But that's actually a really common thing is having, and they're not always huge gas leaks like that one. Usually they're just tiny gas leaks that you don't even know. But they can tell they have little, meters and things that can read that. But
sorry, I'm not yawning at you.
Whatever, Kevin. I'm taking it personal.
I went to bed at a bad time. What is the weirdest feature you've ever found in a home?
Wow, the weirdest feature I've ever found in a home.
Stripper pole.
No. So actually, and I get why they did it. This gentleman fixed a bathroom shower to make it bigger, right? Okay. But when he did that, he built into the master closet, which is supposed to be a walk-through closet. But when he did it and he built this feature, instead of just making it into two separate closets, he left this little gap. And I actually took a video and posted it because I had to stand sideways and put my hands up and shimmy just to get to the other side of the closet. And I was like, why not just close off the whole thing? It didn't actually make any sense. But the only other thing that I saw that was kind of weird was that same house that I told you that didn't have really a floor. It had this old bathtub from like the 60s in there. The bathtub was chocolate brown and it had these gold bars on it all over the place. And it was really cool to see, kind of like a nostalgia of seeing the past in the present.
Is it the one that's like, it's kind of like standalone and it looks like a big bowl and then it has like the little faucet on it?
No, it was rectangle. It wasn't very deep. But it was connected by the 3 walls around it.
Oh, I think I know
but
what
it just
you're
had these
talking
big gold poles hanging off of it.
Yeah.
But I will say, I did see a new build that I ended up taking a picture inside the bathtub. Marvin took it because it was this master bathtub. And I mean, they were selling this house for an exuberant amount. But then you had this master bathtub that I had to like crouch down like a little chicken in an egg. And I was like, how is this a master bathtub at all? But it was just like a little bowl. Yeah. And it was really weird to see because if you're going to invest that much money, put in a good bathtub.
I've been seeing a lot of videos lately of like those multi-million-dollar houses where the inspectors are like, drain doesn't drain, like window seals are slanted, like doors not shut.
Oh yeah, even if you buy a brand new build, they always tell you, we do these major inspections and here we'll give you the inspection form and all these things. It is always best to still pay for your own inspection, even if you get a new build.
Yeah.
You have got to keep yourself protected because you don't want to. Not saying everybody is, but you never know if someone's being a little bit biased and not necessarily.
I've seen a lot of videos of like, it'll be these big neighborhood developers that they'll build houses, like they'll knock out houses, like,
oh, absolutely.
In a couple months, and they'll have an inspector come out, and the inspector is just like, oh, this is terrible.
Oh, I've seen them. Yeah. They're like,
to the
this
point
is
where,
horrible.
to the point where the building companies are like threatening them, like, to sue him and all this.
Yeah, because things aren't up to code.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
Okay, I said to kind of wrap it up.
What's the final question?
Yeah, I think the final question is if
how
money,
do you do it, Cynthia?
I kind of wanted to see if like there was a home feature that everyone should have. Like, is there something that's kind of like, like if it didn't, well, obviously, but like if money wasn't an option, like I've seen some things where they have like the Lazy Susan, like little like corner cabinet or something, or like a walk-in closet that has a safe or like a safe room. I don't know. Like what's just a fun little design feature that you think is just a cool thing?
Absolutely. Before I say that, I will say one thing is, let's say somebody did buy a smaller home and they want to move up into something. The home features, I remember when I first started in real estate, I was told by multiple people that the biggest value bringers into a home, if you're wanting to resell at some point, get good equity, is the kitchen and the master bathroom. Makes sense. Putting really nice features into those ends up really kind of bringing up that value and helping a lot whenever you want to resell. But in the sense of something crazy, if money was no option, I'm going to have to go back to the movie Clueless. I would want the closet where I can just put what I want my outfit to be and the whole closet turns and just brings it all right there. I'm so busy all the time. It would be really nice to just have that part dealt with so I can just grab it and go. Yeah. That would be, if money was no option, absolutely, that's what I would have.
Have like a little robot butler bring it out to you?
Yes, just stand there like the princes do and then just let them clothe me and then I just walk away and do my own thing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I think we got some pretty good information from you, Cynthia. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. This was really fun.
Yes, I can tell your social media PR agent over there trained you very well. You're very question ready. I'm very impressed. But
he's talking about my teenagers.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us today.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. This was a lot of fun. Thank you guys.
Hopefully we get you some business too.
I would love that. I would love that. Absolutely.
If you'd like to, if you guys have a website or something, go ahead and shout it out, plug it, or...
Yeah, your handles. Where can people find you?
I'm very old school. I'm just...
Instagram?
Call me and text me. I don't even know what my Instagram name is. It's on my phone with where you're at right now. Let me get my PR person. She's such a slacker. You can also find me on Facebook, Cynthia Lazo. I have a real estate one, but you can always shoot me an email or call me. I'm at 405-778-4454. I love answering questions when it comes to houses. I love helping people And yeah, I'd be happy to help anybody who needs it for sure.
Okay. Goodbye, guys.
Bye.